Yes, we are the guides, and we are very pleased to be with you here today. Now, we do not predict. This is not what we are here for. And most of your channelings should not be predictive channelings because of this is the facts of things, is that you, every moment, with every breath, with everything you do, can change your reality. Now, the thing is, as well, is reality is not one time frame. It is not one timeline as your Marvel movies will have shown you. You are not always on a single timeline. So, for instance, when you turn right or you turn left, there is a part of you that has turned the other way. And as you have been explained to many times, that time is not linear. So, outcomes of things are not able to be divined. There is no divination as there per se. Now, sometimes things do come about. Sometimes people do read the stars and they understand the energies, if you will. And again, things can change people. So, what we like to talk about is the fact that, yes, there are things going on your planet, such as war. Now, war has been occurring on your planet as a constant. So, there are many of you who probably would like to tune in if we blasted that as the headline for this video. However, that is not where we are coming from because the truth is, if you are in disagreement with what is going on currently, you are at war. So you are the one that can control whether there is war or peace. If you are raging against anything, be it a machine or anything such as that, you are committing war. You are voting for war. So when you are doing anything but promoting peace, besides turning inward and really looking through your stuff inside of you, then you are not doing anything but adding to energies of war. Now, with that said and done, we would like to talk to you about the fact that, yes, if you are aware, and we hope you are listening to, reading, and discovering things like Gnosticism. Now, we do believe what Seth put out was very much governed or in light of things like Gnosticism. What he had said were things that were modern day versions of Gnosticism. Now, here's the thing with any major religion that we would like you to understand is that you were all at one, we will use point in time because that is all that you understand at this moment, and that verbiage will change in the near future. Although, again, future is not really something that is. However, we need to otherwise talk to you somehow. So please forgive the sloppy verbiage, if you will, because it can be a little bit challenging, and she gets very frustrated when we say, or any of the others that come through, say things like time in, but wait, I thought there wasn't time. Now, what we'd like to say is that when you first entered your Earth suit, you were not privy to the rules. You were not privy to understanding what was going on. You forgot your divinity. You forgot your attachment to Source. You forgot that you are one with Source. So you had to make sense somehow of what's going on. It makes sense because here's the thing. The reason you are in an earth suit is to experience, to feel, because Source itself, divinity itself, doesn't have an earth suit on. It cannot we won't say cannot, but it doesn't do things like you do. If you were absolutely 100% untainted, and we dislike to use the word tainted, but if you were untainted by the emotions and the physicality of your earth suit and of the worries of being in physical form, you would see things very differently. However, when you are not in your physical form, things come immediately, and there's a little less value in it in some ways. So, for instance, when you just have something handed to you might feel little less value in it. For instance, she is taking a class currently, and the teacher is pretty much just kind of, it's one of those classes that you have to take to get your degree, and the teacher is kind of just whatever you want. And for her, this does not feel as good getting an A, getting all her points in this class. And other classes where she has to work much harder, there is work for her to do. There's lots of time spent and energy spent, and she is really making it more worth her while than her teacher is putting out there. She could just breeze by it and have it all done. However, she wants an experience because this is what she's paying for. So she is taking it to a much deeper level. So this is the thing with your earth suits. You want that experience. You want things to make sense other than the fact that, yes, you are in a suit so that you can experience and report back to source, that you can explore, that you can grow in your individuation of source. So this is what happens. This is mm, you are all in some ways, shape, and form have been living a lie. If you have followed any religion, you have been living a lie. Now, we will tell you that these lies weren't put out in fear or evilness or malice in the original. It was just trying to make sense with what you had, with what you saw, with what you felt around you. People were not trying to be evil. They were just doing the best with what they had. Now, one may argue that things came about evilness. However, if people understood the truth and they would like to manipulate, yes, things happen with certain religions that things have been manipulated, but none of your religions are correct, and yet all of them have a thread of truth running through them. For instance, your 10 commandments, if you all understood that you were source and that you were all one and that you are all connected, you wouldn't want to do any of the things to break the commandments. You would want to follow them because it would directly affect you. It is like punching yourself in the face when you break one of these commandments. So it was not an admonishment. It was, hey, if you get the fact that you are one with source, don't do this because, hey, let's make this better. Although it could be argued that maybe some of you did want to experience something different because, as she used to think when she was sitting in church and them talking about heaven, and her mind sitting there going, but so you're just hanging out with God, and then because she's used to stimulation, she's used to things, she's used to doing something because she is a very active earth suit. Let us tell you, this girl does not like to sit still for a moment. She will do 12 billion things at once. And sometimes when she is working her hardest, then she is in connection. Very different than some people. For her, the sitting meditations are tedious. So, one of her ways that she does meditate would be to channel and to journal and to do rituals and such. Walking meditation's good for her. Things where she has beads where she can move her fingers are good for her. So you are all different. So what we are trying to say here is that yes, if you start paying attention to Gnosticism, when you start unveiling truths about religions, we would like you to come from a forgiving heart. At first, and this is normal, you may feel as though you are angry. They lied to me. They tried to control. But here is the real truth is yes, people do pervert things. And maybe it is because they learned that this was not the truth, but yet they didn't have the whole truth. So, for instance, you might have, for instance, Catholic priests who have done things which you have heard about that we will not mention because you know the stories. But there have been leaders and rulers of churches or leaders and rulers in the secular area who have used religion to control the masses because they maybe became disillusioned, yet they did not find the truth that they are indeed source. You have a lot of people who are, for instance, atheists. Atheists usually are people who have come from a religious background or upbringing of sorts and have rebelled against it. So, this is the thing. We do not truly believe that there is evil. Yes, there are fears, and people act out in fear, the fear of not enough, and that shows up in greed, and greed shows up in wars and all these different things. If people weren't afraid, if they weren't fearing that there wasn't enough, you would not have any of the problems you have on your planet. If everybody really truly understood that they were source. So, when you are going through your Gnosticism or whatever journey that you take to come to the truth, or if this helps you because you might have, now we have the title as the guides, but others have come in as archangels and identifying as that. And so that may be a draw for some people because they do have a religious upbringing. So angels do have a draw for them. Now, we would like to tell you again, as we have and as others have, is that we are just versions of you, versions of you that are not in a physical body, that are here to help you, that are here to teach, that are here to guide you towards your understanding of your divinity. That is all we are here for. Now, again, everybody has different flavors that they enjoy. So some people will come in and listen to Palladians, which are coming up soon in your playlist, as it were, if you are staying tuned to this channel. But what we would like you to understand is it does not matter. Again, as we stated before, anything that comes through this channel is of light and love because that is all there is. And when you are not in physical form, you are not living that confusion of what is not truly you. We do not have the illusion that we are less than. We do not have the illusion of any of this because it is plain for us to see. So we don't get to play the games that you get to. We don't get to go through this self discovery. We have, many of us have, but we do not get to go through the undoing the wounds and the traumas of childhood. Now, you can do this very easily with a place of compassion, a place of love. Now, we are not saying let people hurt you. The turn the other cheek was not about being a victim and letting people beat you. It was about not acting out and retaliating, not reacting. That was the message of turn the other cheek. It was not turn it so they can smack you over and over and over again. It was turn the other cheek instead of going and balling up your fist and starting something way worse, because this is the problem. When violence erupts, then other violence is a pile on top of each other. If you come from a place of understanding that everyone is doing their best, again, you can do what you need to do. If things do get rough, yes, call the police, get a restraining order, do what you do in your physical world because you are in a physical suit. So you have that balance of both knowing that you are source and that you are connected and that everyone is source. However, you also have the balance of you are playing with people that are not aware of their source. They would not be hitting you if they were aware of their source. And that is the thing. So when you are looking at people, and this doesn't mean that you aren't involved with justice and order and balance, because some of you may be in a position, some of you may get called into jury duty at some point and have to sit and declare verdicts on things. However, seeing people from a place of, yes, they are source. Now, because you do live on the earth plane, there are consequences for your actions. However, when you understand it from a place of you were doing the best you could until you have integrated that you are source. Once you have integrated that you are source, you will not be performing the actions again. And the term repent to just means turn around and you don't do it again. Well, if you are aware of your sourceness, you would turn around and not do it again, or you might catch yourself a little sooner. So this is the thing. You are waking up. If you are listening to this, again, we have told you that when you listen to channeling, you are channeling. It is not the person who's channeling that's channeling, it is you. Everything that comes around you is you, just on the outside, just with a little distance. It is showing you, everything is a mirror around you, showing you if you believed what they believed, this is how you would behave. This is all that other people in suits are. They're showing you that if you grew up with these circumstances and raised with this kind of suit and with all these beliefs, you would behave that way. That's all you're witnessing. And your job is to not fix those people or serve met out justice. That is why that term, even though vengeance is not exactly, but again, they had to use words that made sense to you in your suit at the time. And at that time that your Bibles and your Qurans were put out, you were not as advanced. The energies weren't freely flowing like they are now. You didn't have the technology, you didn't have the comforts that let you be able to search. When you have food easily accessible to you, when you have shelter easily accessible to you, you have a lot more time to discover and to go inward and to find these truths, or to listen to these truths, or to read these truths. Whereas those who came before you had less access to things. You can talk into your phone and get your answers, although we would suggest that you do not do that so much, because there are some non-truths and the truth is inside of you. Now, again, when you hear someone like us or you hear anybody else, they could be speaking to your truth, but your truth is your truth. When you discover it, when you find it, it is yours. So as things go on, as you hear things, we would like you to understand that when it really comes down to it, everybody is doing the very best they can with what circumstances they are brought up with. Even those like Constantine, even those like the Council of Nicaea, were doing the best that they thought was best at the time. They were bringing in, so Constantine again was a ruler and he was trying to unite people. And so there was many, many, many different teachings. There were many, many, because again, at the time they didn't have technology as much, so things were very expensive. Not everybody could read or write. So a lot of things were oral traditions. And that is sometimes the easiest because when you speak to somebody, you hear the tone of their voice. That transmits a lot. You have their breath coming out. You have the speed of their voice. You have facial expressions. You have body language, all sorts of things that the typed out written word or the scrolled written word at that time would not show. Somebody would rewrite it. When you rewrite it, you do not have the natural feeling that someone else has. So even your writing wouldn't look. When you write something, for instance, and you are in a hot hurry or really passionate, your writing's very different than when, like, let me rewrite that. When you do something, and if you do something by hand and you are doing a rough draft and then you do a nicer copy, you notice that it looks different. So it takes away that. Whereas when you hear something, it is very different. And there's frequency, there is vibration coming out. And especially when you hear channelings, please know that every channeling has frequency in it. It has downloads in it. So the words, again, we are using words that for us would be considered a lie because that's really not how things work. However, you don't have the other pieces yet, as we keep saying. So we have to explain it to you like you are young. You do not, it's not a lie when you explain biology to little ones and you don't go into full details. And that is what's happening. You are getting, however, your soul, your source connection, what you are truly is getting downloads from us. It is strengthening that. It is expanding your sources. Every time you listen to a channeling that is telling you that you are one with source, it is expanding this. The thing that we would like to tell you, the only thing that we will give as a prediction of such, is that nothing that is truly real can be destroyed. So if you want a prediction about what will happen in the future, is yes, at some point in time, there might be extensions in technology that can extend the life of your Earth suit. That can happen. However, at some point, you will disembark from your Earth suit. However, no matter what happens on your Earth plane, what is truly real can never die, can never perish. Your connection to source, your contribution to source, your flavor of source, what you bring to source, that what you are as source cannot be destroyed. And it still goes. It still goes on. It is sort of like a personality. That would be the closest thing. So that is the only prediction we can give you, my dears, is that what is truly real cannot be destroyed. So live your life to the best you can. Really, again, see yourself because that can take a lot of work. That might be your whole purpose. Yes, do the things you need to do to maintain your Earth suit, but your whole purpose is to firmly, 100% with all of your being, Know that you are one with Source, you are one with the divine because you have been taught otherwise your whole entire life. And again, as you do this, please stay out of fear and anger. We understand that it feels yucky if you find out you have been lied to your whole life. However, again, everyone was doing the best that they could with what they felt was the best decision at the time, because they are going off the teachings that other people have taught them. So they have to, again, justify their actions. And they can, because of the fact they were brought up a certain way with certain beliefs, and they can use those beliefs to do whatever they want. Have you ever sat with someone and watched something and they got a completely, or listened to a song and everybody got a completely different message from it? Well, what do you expect? Everybody gets a different message. And for instance, when you go to a church, every pastor is different. If you sit 12 pastors in a room, they will have a different interpretation, because basically it's kind of like you all have different lenses on. Some of you have clearer fields in certain aspects, and some of you have blemishes, scratches, occlusions. So again, the point of this message is to truly know that you are source, truly with all your being, because that will help get rid of all these other things. And meanwhile, you might have to journal, you might have to meditate, you might have to do all these things, because you do, again, need to mm, maintain your earth suit. Now, you will find once you accept your sourceness that it will be much easier to maintain your earth suit. It will be much easier to go through your life, because you can enjoy every choice you make can be out of a choice of being a conscious creator. And when you aren't looking at everyone and everything outside of you as a liar, as a victimizer, as whatever it is, as an abuser, you can come from a place of joy, because again, you are all one. We love you. We thank you for your time. Be well, my dear one.